The massive starship drifted silently through the darkness of space, its metallic hull gleaming under distant starlight. Captain June Park stood motionless at the command bridge, his eyes fixed on the holographic display that flickered with incoming signals. The human colony of Delta 7 stretched below them, a small but resilient settlement carved into the rocky terrain of a distant planetary system. Lieutenant Yun Li's fingers danced across the communication console. Her voice was steady, almost monotone. "Incoming transmission from alien vessel, Captain." The holographic screen erupted with a grotesque image. A creature with multiple tentacle-like appendages and translucent skin materialized. Its multiple eyes blinked independently, creating an unsettling visual effect. "Humans of Colony Delta 7, the alien ambassador's voice resonated through the ship's speakers. "You will immediately surrender all planetary resources to the collective. Resistance is futile." June's expression remained unchanged. Years of military training had taught him to control every muscle, every potential reaction. He studied the aliens' communication, analyzing not just the words, but the underlying psychological manipulation. "Your demand is rejected," he responded, his voice calm and measured. The alien ambassador's tentacles writhed with what seemed like confusion. No human settlement had ever directly refused their demands. The collective was used to instant capitulation, not defiance. Behind June, the bridge crew maintained perfect discipline. Each crew member understood the potential consequences of this interaction. They were not just representing a small colony, but potentially the entire human species. Lieutenant Li continued monitoring the communication channels. Strange energy signatures began to pulse around the alien vessel, a clear indication of potential aggressive intentions. Her fingers moved swiftly, activating defensive protocols that had been carefully designed over decades of technological advancement. The alien vessel began to rotate, its massive structure suggesting immense destructive capabilities. Standard galactic protocols would recommend immediate surrender. But humans were anything but standard. June understood something the aliens did not. Technological superiority was not just about raw power, but about adaptability, strategy, and unexpected responses. The human colony had spent years preparing for this moment, developing technologies that would challenge conventional warfare strategies. "Prepare defensive formation," June commanded, his voice cutting through the tension on the bridge. The colony's defensive systems, hidden beneath rocky terrain and camouflaged by advanced holographic technology, began to activate. Small detection nodes emerged from underground bunkers, their sensors scanning the alien vessel with precision. The alien ambassador continued its communication, now mixed with threats and promises of destruction. But June recognized it for what it was: a psychological tactic designed to intimidate and force compliance. Yun Li's console suddenly lit up with a series of complex mathematical calculations. The colony's advanced AI was processing potential engagement scenarios, calculating response strategies within milliseconds. Each potential outcome was analyzed, evaluated, and ranked. "Sir," she reported, "defensive systems are at 98% readiness. Alien vessel shows increasing energy buildup, consistent with weapon charging." June nodded, a subtle movement that communicated volumes to his trained crew. They were not just preparing for defense, but for a potential offensive that would challenge everything the alien collective understood about human capabilities. The starship's internal systems hummed with potential energy. Quantum shields began to ripple around the vessel's exterior, an invisible barrier that represented years of technological research and strategic planning. Outside, the alien vessel continued its threatening posture. Its massive structure suggested overwhelming power. But power meant nothing without the intelligence to use it effectively. June remembered his training, the endless simulations, the strategic discussions that had prepared humans for this exact moment of first contact. They were not just a small colony. They were the advanced guard of a species that had survived multiple planetary challenges, that had transformed technological limitations into strategic advantages. The moment stretched, filled with tension and unspoken potential. The aliens waited, expecting submission. The humans prepared, understanding that this encounter would define their place in the galactic community. First contact was about to become something entirely unexpected. The alien battleships surrounded the human colony like predatory sharks, their massive structures blocking out starlight. Captain Kirill Voss watched his tactical screens with cold confidence, expecting an immediate surrender. Instead, 6 human warships emerged from planetary shadows. They were unlike anything the alien fleet had encountered before. Compact, streamlined. Vessels that moved with unexpected grace. No standard propulsion systems. No predictable energy signatures. Each ship seemed to dance between space and time, defying conventional physics. Lieutenant Yun Li's fingers moved across her console with practiced precision. "Quantum shields activated," she reported to Captain June Park. The first alien weapon strike hit the nearest human ship, but instead of destruction, something strange happened. The laser beams seemed to ripple, then get absorbed into a shimmering energy field. The human vessel not only survived, but appeared completely unharmed. Kirill Voss couldn't believe his senses. "Impossible," he muttered. The human ships began their counterattack. They didn't mass together like traditional military formations. Each vessel moved independently, yet somehow synchronized. Their weapons were not massive destructive cannons, but precise energy pulses that targeted specific system vulnerabilities. 3 alien cruisers suddenly erupted into massive debris fields. The battlefield transformed in minutes. Where the aliens expected total dominance, they found complexity. Where they anticipated weakness, they discovered strategic brilliance. Captain June Park watched the engagement with calculated calm. Every movement, every weapon discharge was a carefully planned sequence. The human vessels weren't just fighting, they were communicating, sending complex mathematical messages through their tactical maneuvers. Quantum entanglement communication allowed instant coordination between ships. Each vessel shared tactical information faster than light, creating a living, breathing combat network that adapted continuously. The alien fleet's communication systems began experiencing strange disruptions. Their weapon-targeting computers suddenly showed conflicting information. Navigation systems flickered with unexpected error codes. Lieutenant Yun Li smiled slightly. The humans had prepared more than just physical weapons. They had developed technological warfare techniques that went beyond traditional understanding. 1. Human warship, barely 300 meters long, managed to disable a 2-kilometer alien battleship through a series of precise energy pulses. The alien vessel's complex system simply shut down, its massive structure becoming a floating tomb of dead technology. Kirill Voss watched in growing horror. His tactical training, his years of military experience, meant nothing against this unexpected human strategy. They weren't just fighting. They were rewriting the rules of engagement. The human ships moved like water, fluid, adaptive. Each vessel seemed to anticipate alien weapon discharges milliseconds before they happened. Defensive shields shimmered with complex quantum algorithms that absorbed and redirected incoming energy. "They're using our own weapon energy against us," one alien tactical officer reported, his voice trembling. The battlefield became a strange dance of light and energy. Human ships weaved between massive alien vessels, striking with surgical precision. No wasted motion, no unnecessary destruction. Each action calculated for maximum strategic impact. Captain June Park understood something fundamental about warfare that the aliens did not. Combat was not about overwhelming force, but about intelligent adaptation. Within 30 standard minutes, half the alien fleet had been neutralized. Not destroyed, neutralized. Their systems disabled, their crews alive but unable to fight. The remaining alien vessels began a confused retreat. Their communication networks were in chaos, their tactical understanding completely shattered. Lieutenant Yun Li looked at Captain Park. "Engagement complete," she reported. June nodded, his expression unchanged. They had just demonstrated something profound. Humanity was not just another species to be conquered. They were a strategic force that could transform the very understanding of technological warfare. The first engagement was over, but the real message was just beginning. The galaxy would never be the same. The alien communication networks exploded with confusion. Emergency meetings happened across multiple planetary systems, with leaders struggling to understand what had just occurred. Admiral Hyun Kim reviewed the battle recordings in a secure human research facility. His team of scientists and military strategists analyzed every single moment of the engagement. Complex holographic displays showed detailed breakdowns of human technological innovations. The human warships had used something unprecedented. Adaptive electromagnetic disruption became their primary weapon, not just a defensive tool but a complex strategic approach that transformed standard combat protocols. They didn't just fight, one researcher explained, they communicated through warfare. Each human vessel carried advanced quantum processors that could calculate millions of tactical scenarios in microseconds. These weren't simple computers. They were living strategic networks that could predict and counter alien technological systems faster than any known species. The alien collective's most advanced strategic algorithms began failing. Human unpredictability became their most potent weapon. Captain June Park understood something fundamental. Technology was not about raw power, but about adaptive intelligence. Each human ship carried neural-linked systems that could learn and modify their approach in real time. Alien military analysts watched recording after recording, trying to understand the human technological approach. But every time they thought they understood the pattern, new complexities emerged. The human ships used metamaterial shields that could change molecular structure instantaneously. When an alien weapon struck, the shield would literally reshape itself, absorbing and redirecting energy in ways that defied current scientific understanding. One alien research team discovered that human ships used something called distributed intelligence, where each vessel was not just a weapon but a learning system. If one ship experienced a tactical challenge, the entire fleet would instantly adapt. This is not technology, one frustrated alien researcher reported. This is a living organism. The quantum communication networks used by humans were so advanced that they seemed to break fundamental laws of physics. Information traveled between ships faster than light, creating a unified combat intelligence that moved like a single breathing entity. Advanced sensor systems on human vessels could detect potential threats before they even materialized. It was as if the ships could see into possible future scenarios, making them essentially unbeatable. The alien collective's most advanced predictive systems began to crash. Their understanding of technological warfare was being completely rewritten by a species they had initially considered primitive. Smaller human colonies began sharing technological updates. Each engagement produced new learning, new adaptations. The human technological evolution was happening in real time during actual combat scenarios. Their weapon systems were not just destructive tools. They were complex communication devices that could transmit strategic information, disrupt enemy systems, and adapt instantaneously. Alien military leaders started experiencing something they had never felt before: genuine fear. The human technological approach was not about overwhelming force. It was about intelligent, adaptive strategy. Each weapon discharge, each defensive movement carried multiple layers of potential information and tactical significance. Admiral Hyun Kim's team continued analyzing every single moment. They were not just studying past engagements. They were preparing for future technological evolution. The quantum processors in human ships could literally predict potential alien weapon technologies and develop countermeasures before the weapons were even deployed. This was not just advanced technology. This was a fundamental reimagining of technological warfare. Alien communication channels began spreading rumors. Stories of human technological capabilities started circulating, creating internal confusion and growing concern. They are not human, one alien military report suggested. They are something else entirely. The technological shock was complete. The alien collective had encountered a species that did not just use technology, but fundamentally understood and lived within technological complexity. Humanity had transformed from a seemingly simple species to the most technologically adaptive force in the known galaxy. And they were just getting started. The real technological revolution was about to begin. The human intelligence operations moved like invisible ghosts through alien communication networks. Captain June Park understood that true warfare happened, not just with weapons but with information. Strategic misinformation began spreading across alien communication channels. Small, carefully crafted messages that seemed innocent but carried deep psychological impact. Each transmission was a precise weapon designed to create doubt and confusion. Lieutenant Yoon Lee managed the complex information warfare campaign. Her team created elaborate digital scenarios that exploited alien psychological vulnerabilities. They understood that the alien collective had a hierarchical structure that relied heavily on absolute trust and predictable communication patterns. Alien military commanders started receiving conflicting reports. Messages suggested internal betrayals, potential leadership failures, and strategic weaknesses. These were not random communications, but carefully constructed psychological triggers. The alien communication networks began experiencing strange disruptions. Encrypted channels showed unexpected data streams. Military leaders questioned their own intelligence reports. Trust began to erode from within. One simple message suggested that certain alien military commanders were selling strategic information to competing galactic factions. Another transmission hinted at potential technological failures in their defense systems. Captain Park watched the psychological landscape like a complex chess game. Each message was a strategic move designed to create maximum internal confusion. Without direct confrontation, the alien collective's communication protocols started breaking down. Mid-level commanders questioned senior leadership. Strategic meetings became filled with suspicion and internal arguments. Human intelligence understood the alien psychology perfectly. They knew exactly which communication frequencies would trigger maximum emotional response. Each message was designed to create maximum psychological pressure. Lieutenant Lee's team used advanced linguistic algorithms that could craft messages matching exact communication patterns of alien military channels. These weren't simple translations, but complex psychological manipulations. Alien military leadership began experiencing collective paranoia. Every communication became a potential threat. Every message was questioned. The strong hierarchical structure that had made the collective powerful now became its greatest weakness. Strategic reports started contradicting each other. Alien military commanders who had previously worked together now viewed each other with suspicion. The human psychological warfare campaign was creating internal destruction without firing a single weapon. The most brilliant aspect of the human strategy was its subtlety. They weren't attacking physically. They were dismantling the alien military structure through pure information manipulation. Quantum communication networks allowed humans to understand and predict alien psychological responses with mathematical precision. Each message was a carefully designed psychological trigger, guaranteed to create maximum internal confusion. Captain June Park understood that modern warfare was no longer about physical destruction. It was about destroying confidence, creating internal doubt, and breaking psychological structures. The alien collective's communication network started showing signs of complete breakdown. Military units questioned their orders. Strategic coordination became impossible. The once unified alien force was fragmenting from within. Lieutenant Yoon Lee's team continued their precise information campaign. They didn't just send messages, they created entire narrative landscapes that exploited alien psychological vulnerabilities. One transmission suggested potential technological failures in alien weapon systems. Another hinted at leadership corruption. Each message was designed to create maximum psychological pressure. The human psychological warfare was so sophisticated that it seemed almost impossible. They were fighting a war without traditional weapons, dismantling an entire military structure through pure information manipulation. Alien military leaders started losing confidence. Their once strong communication networks became filled with suspicion and internal conflicts. The psychological destruction was complete. Captain Park watched the progression with calculated calm. They had transformed warfare from physical confrontation to pure psychological manipulation. The alien collective was destroying itself without humans firing a single additional weapon. The psychological warfare campaign had succeeded. The alien military structure was collapsing from within, crushed by carefully designed information streams that exploited their deepest psychological vulnerabilities. Humanity had discovered the ultimate weapon: precise, calculated psychological manipulation. The war was being won without conventional battle, and it was just beginning. The human warships moved like shadows through alien space. Captain June Park watched the tactical displays, each movement calculated with mathematical precision. The alien collective's military structure was already crumbling from within. 6 primary human vessels approached the central alien command system. Their approach was not aggressive, but surgical. Each movement designed to create maximum strategic impact with minimal direct confrontation. Lieutenant Yoon Lee's communication systems began transmitting complex quantum signals. These were not simple messages, but sophisticated information packets that could penetrate the most secure alien communication networks. The first alien defense system collapsed without a single weapon being fired. Complex quantum algorithms simply overwhelmed their protective networks. Information became the primary weapon of destruction. Captain Park understood something fundamental about warfare. Victory was not about physical destruction, but about precise, intelligent, strategic manipulation. Alien military commanders watched in growing horror as their most secure communication channels began experiencing total systemic failure. Their quantum defense networks, once considered impenetrable, started shutting down one by one. The human vessels used something unprecedented. They didn't just attack physical systems. They dismantled entire technological infrastructures through pure informational precision. One small human warship, barely 300 meters long, managed to disable an entire alien planetary defense network. Not through massive weapon discharges, but through complex quantum communication disruption. Lieutenant Lee's fingers moved across her console with practiced calm. Each tactical movement was a carefully designed mathematical sequence. The human ships moved like living organisms, adapting instantaneously to changing battlefield conditions. The alien collective's leadership began emergency communication protocols, but each attempt was systematically blocked or redirected by human quantum communication systems. Advanced human AI systems had already predicted and prepared countermeasures for every potential alien defensive strategy. Where the aliens expected resistance, they found complete technological neutralization. Critical alien infrastructure began collapsing. Communication networks failed. Defense systems shut down. Entire planetary control centers experienced total, systematic failure. Ambassador Renak, the primary alien diplomatic representative, watched the unfolding disaster with growing terror. His multiple appendages trembled as he realized the humans were not just winning. They were rewriting the fundamental understanding of technological warfare. The human approach was not about destruction. It was about precise, intelligent system dismantling. Each tactical movement carried multiple layers of strategic significance. Captain June Park's expression remained unchanged. Years of military training had taught him that true victory was about intelligent adaptation, not raw physical power. The alien collective's most advanced technological systems began experiencing complete failure. Quantum communication networks collapsed. Defense systems shut down. Military coordination became impossible. Lieutenant Lee's team had prepared for this moment across multiple years. They weren't just fighting a war, they were demonstrating a completely new approach to technological conflict. Alien military leaders began sending surrender transmissions. But the humans were already 3 strategic moves ahead. Each communication was analyzed, processed, and strategically managed. The final blow was not a weapon discharge, but a complex quantum communication sequence that essentially dismantled the entire alien military communication infrastructure. Ambassador Renak's transmission showed complete defeat. "We surrender," his message read, his multiple appendages visibly trembling in the communication hologram. Captain Park understood the profound message being sent. Humanity was not just another galactic species. They were a strategic force that could transform technological understanding. The human vessels began returning to their colony, their mission complete. They had defeated an entire alien military, structure without traditional warfare. Information, adaptation, and intelligent strategy had become their primary weapons. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, not through massive weapon systems, but through intelligent, adaptive technological warfare. The decisive victory was complete, and it was just the beginning of humanity's galactic journey.